We have today a Game Boy original. This one's already been in for repair and we've done it all, but it's coming back for warranty because after the users used it for a while and used headphones, the speaker in the actual Game Boy itself now doesn't seem to work. This should be a fairly simple fix, but let me show you through the entire audio circuit of the Game Boy and how the audio jack works. We have here the Game Boy, and we got the note from the customer that mentions it was a fully repaired Game Boy, and now the audio jack seems to be stuck and there's only audio from the headphones. Let's give that a test. Let's just chuck a game in. And there we don't get the ding, so obviously speakers don't seem to be working. And if we insert our speaker, we can see we do actually get audio from the headphones. Taking a look inside, we've got the screen connector there, we've got the clean amp upgrade and the speaker attached here. And with the screen disconnected, we can still see there's the speaker. So first checks are the obvious. We'll check the actual speakers working. Measuring for continuity over these 2 points. And we get 7 ohms, and it's an 8 ohm speaker, so that's fine. I can see though we didn't actually swap out the speaker, which we normally do with a half watt or 1 watt speaker. That's the original speaker, so we probably want to upgrade that, but that's not the issue. So next up we need to look at the audio circuit. On the Game Boy original, this is the CPU, so we have this CPU here. Audio comes straight out left and right through this capacitor and resistor set here into this part here, which is actually the volume wheel here, out of the left and right pin, which is where our clean amp taps off, which is these pins here, 7 and 8. And this is the stock amp on the Game Boy. This doesn't need to work because we have a clean amp. We only need audio going into these 2 pins. And the fact that it comes out and goes to the headphone socket over here, we already know that the entire path from the CPU into the amp itself and the headphones all work. So what does the clean amp do? Because that's the only thing we now need to know works. It listens on the phone pin for shorting to ground, because this headphone socket here, when there is no headphones in, this switch here to ground, so the right side's ground, this is a switched pin, this should be shorted to ground when there's no headphones, and when you insert headphones, it disconnects. That means in here, there's a spring, and when you insert headphones, this should release from ground, but with nothing in as it stands, this pin should be grounded. We can test that with ground, and on here, we can see no ground. Let's bring in a working board, just to prove the theory. Ground, and we can see it is grounded. So we have an issue either in this connector here, which you can see here is the spring in question. So here is one pin and here is the other pin. If we insert headphones, you can see how that spring now is physically disconnected back here. So that now is not making contact with this. If we remove, it physically touches again. So that's the operation. Let's first check all of continuity from the headphone to the actual Game Boy. This is the ground pin, and we do have ground. And this is the headphone pin, which does have continuity. So we are dealing with a physical spring issue, and it was working for the customer, but we can see there's actually quite a bit of green here we didn't originally notice. So I think this is due a vinegar bath. Here is the cup of warm vinegar, and here is the headphone jack. Keep an eye out on that. Dip it in and see how fast that reacts. Literally takes 5 to 10 seconds to remove all of the electrolyte damage. And with that all dipped in and clean, let's just now see if that was enough to bring back continuity. So we should basically have ground from here to the phones, which we now do. If we then insert the headphones, it should now be broken, which it is, and remove again because this is the thing that can cause issues. And there's the connection good again. That looks nice and clean now. So I'll just give that one extra IPA. A good clean again with the IPA in the hole. There's the new 1 watt speaker in. The clean amp's ready. Let's turn on. And there we go. Now the clean amp is very loud, so let's just check it can handle the load. And there you go. So this is what happens when you have a clean amp at full power. And inside we have the stock power board here that simply can't handle the load of a full volume clean amp. Luckily, there's a product I've invented just for this, and it's called the Clean Power. So this is one of the first products I ever made years ago, and this replaces the power board on the Game Boy original, and it allows it to be powered with many more mods, including the clean amps and new screens, without failing under load. Because the customer's consoles come back to us and failed in such a short time, and even though it's just the customer's original socket that's the problem, I'm going to include the clean power for free for them. It saves any hassle, and it's just a nice gesture. So let me just chuck this into the customer's console. And with that in, one more test. And that's already louder, so you can hear how loud that is, and get ready for this. That's max volume, which is absurdly loud. Hence the clean amp, and that's why it was so popular when I first made it. You can hear this from literally 20-30 meters away, so you never need to go louder than normally. That's fully off. That's slightly up, and you've got all this. So that's how crazy loud it is, but you can see the clean power is now handling the load with no problem. You have all the brightness and contrast working fine. We'll obviously make sure that this works in and out many times, because that was what caused the problem for the customer in the first place. And I'll have to play a bit of Game & Watch Gallery as well, I think. And one thing you're probably going to hear me talk about quite a bit at the minute is we've just launched a US website. So this is effectively run by myself and a local American. So this is not drop shipping or anything like that. It's literally a US business. It's registered as a US business, Retro6 US, and it has all the parts we sell over here, just locally. This is because a huge part of our audience was from America. When I first started the company, we really grew there. Since then, there's kind of so many things we offer, and so few places in America you can really go to get everything we sell. Hence the reason to launch an entire dedicated site run by ourselves so you can get all of our products local in America. If you want to check it out, it's behind me. It's just retro6.us as the website. If you want any cheeky discounts perhaps, just drop me a DM and I might be able to get you some.